Welcome to the executive committee meeting. Thank you. Go ahead and read the Ethics Act statement. Members of the committee are hereby advised of their duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest and are instructed to refrain from participating in any matter coming before this committee with respect to which there is a conflict of interest. Are there any conflicts? Seeing none, we'll move right along. First item of business is the approval of the council meeting minutes from January 24th, 2025, which are, of course, on SharePoint. Are there any changes, corrections, or comments? Josh, were you on those minutes this time? Excellent. Chair will entertain a motion. Second. Motion and second. Further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any chair, the ayes have it. Let's look at the executive committee meeting minutes from January 23rd, 2025. They're also on SharePoint. Josh, were you on those? Excellent. Josh has had a little problem being on minutes here lately. No changes or corrections. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
And a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Being the chair, the ayes have it. We will now hear the report of the Finance and Audit Committee. I call upon President-elect Ms. Fry to give that report.
The 2024 independent audit of the State Bar and its affiliated boards is in your materials. Once again, we had a clean audit with no noted deficiencies. Definitely need to, Jaya is here. I do not know if Claire is here, but they keep our numbers running and we must thank them and the rest of the team for their excellent work. The Finance and Audit Committee recommends approval of the 2024 audit.
That is a motion to recommend approval to council coming from a committee. It does not require a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any chair, the ayes have it.
Next, the 2025 first quarter financial statements are posted on SharePoint. The Finance and Audit Committee recommends they be approved.
This motion from the committee does not require a second. Any questions? Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Any chairs, the ayes have it. We will now move on to the appointments. The Executive Committee submits nominations to the Council based on the recommendations of the Appointments Advisory Committee, which is chaired by Catherine Ann.
We have 6 appointments for the Disciplinary Hearing Commission, each for a 3-year term. Chris Halkiotis and Jay Meyer are eligible for reappointment, and the committee recommends that they be reappointed to a 3-year term. Stephanie Davis is not eligible for reappointment. The Appointments Advisory Committee recommends the appointment of Sherry Beasley to a 3-year term. James Davis is not eligible for reappointment, and we have recommended that Heidi Bloom be appointed for a 3-year term. Margaret Hicks is not eligible. The committee recommends the appointment of Bradley Schultz for a 3-year term. Josh Wiley is not eligible, and the committee recommends the appointment of Rick Glazier for a 3-year term.
And without objection, we will consider all of these as a group. Hearing no objection, this is a recommendation from Appointments Advisory. Does not require a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any chair, the ayes have it.
The DHC chair and vice chair are appointed annually. The committee is recommending the appointment of Jay Meyer as the chair and Mac McCarley as the vice chair.
Again, these are recommendations from the committee and requires no second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any chair, the ayes have it. Inmate Grievance Board.
There is one appointment for the Inmate Grievance Resolution Board to be made by the governor from a list of 10 names submitted by the council. The committee recommends including current board member Travis F. Ellis on the list, along with lawyers Joshua Delaney and Cheryl Sullivan. The committee further recommends that the council authorize the secretary here to fill in the remaining 7 spots before sending the list to the governor, with a recommendation that the governor either reappoint Travis F. Ellis or appoint Joshua Delaney or Cheryl Sullivan.
Again, a recommendation of the committee requires no second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any chair, the ayes have it. We will now consider proposed rule amendments, beginning with the amendments for adoption. These were published for comment after the January quarterly meeting and no adverse comments were received. Absent objection, we will consider all these as adoption as a group. Ma'am. First one is elections. I will not, without objection, I'm not going to read every part of it, but it just changes the section for procedures for a fee dispute resolution program. Are there any questions on that?
Two of those were correct. Yeah. Did you skip one? There's elections and the fee dispute.
And I'm sorry, elections and fee dispute. My apologies. Elections and fee dispute. Is there a recommendation we approve? Yeah. Send these to council.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Pending the chair, the ayes have it. We also have proposed rule amendments for publication and must be approved by the executive committee and council. This is a change to the rules of professional conduct, Rule 1.15-2, the general rules. Do I have a motion to recommend publication?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? All opposed? Pending the chair, the ayes have it. The next one is section 0.0100, discipline and disability of attorneys. That is in your materials. Are there any questions on that? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Any chair, the ayes have it. Next section is section 1500, rule 1520, requirements for program approval on COE. That is also in your materials. Do I have a motion to recommend publication?
So moved.
Second motion and second. Further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Any of the chair, the ayes have it. We're going to skip over item 5.24 till we get to the issues committee report, and so we'll come back to that later. Moving on, section 5.25, section 1400, the administration of the client security fund changes. That's also in your materials.
These are in the addendum.
In the addendum, thank you. Are there any questions on that? Seeing none, is there a motion to recommend publication?
So moved.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Any chair, the ayes have it. Now, going back to the original agenda, Chair recognizes Council Carmen Bannon for the litigation report.
Yes, sir. The litigation report is in your materials, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
That's fine. Thank you, Carmen.
She learned from the master.
Yes, she did. Next, we'll call on Peter for the legislative report.
There are two matters the State Bar is working on at the legislature. The first is a statutory change that would permit law school graduate supervised practice, which is what we will be discussing in terms of rules from the Issues Committee today. A small statutory change that would allow the State Bar to have that program. And then the other is a clarification of the State Bar's jurisdiction over out-of-state lawyers who are in North Carolina practicing law without a North Carolina license, but they may be in the state practicing federal law or immigration law. Just clarifies that jurisdiction of the State Bar to be able to discipline those lawyers that are in the state providing legal services to North Carolinians. Those two matters are have been filed, have been gone through both House and Senate Judiciary Committees. One is in the bill for the Administrative Office of the Courts, and one is in the bill from the Conference of DAs. And we don't anticipate any opposition. It seems to have support. Hopefully those two bills will continue to roll through, and we'll see those bills pass here in the next month or so.
Thank you, Peter. Any questions for Peter? And get the microphone back in there. We'll next call on Judge Brown for a report from the Issues Committee. J86, go ahead.
Good afternoon. This quarter, the Issues Committee, working through its subcommittee, studied two different matters. First, we examined the relationship between the Communications Committee and the Publications Editorial Board. after reviewing the various functions, we believe that combining the two entities into a single communications committee would improve efficiency and promote better collaboration in our communications efforts. And we would ask for the executive committee's endorsement of this recommendation.
This is a recommendation, of course, from a committee. It does not require a second. Is there any questions for Todd? Seeing none, it does not require a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting chair, the ayes have it. Todd?
The second issue we studied involved whether law school graduates who have not yet passed the bar exam should be allowed to engage in limited supervised practice. The committee proposes publishing rule amendments that would permit such graduates to practice under supervision in government agencies and legal aid organizations, following a similar model to the one in place now for second and third year law students. These proposed rule amendments would include specific criteria for certification and would limit the duration of any certification to no later than the graduate's third bar exam following graduation. So accordingly, the Issues Committee moves that these proposed rule amendments be published for comment. That is the motion.
As a recommendation from Issues, does not require a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So the requirement, the time period of the third bar exam, do they have to have applied to all three of them? I know they have to apply to the first one. For the second and third one too,
Well,
in order to continue to stay certified?
to stay certified, yes. You're only allowed to be certified as a law
As
school
long as they're
graduate if you have a
waiting.
pending application. So if somebody graduates and they skip the next two bar exams
Right.
and they've applied for that third one, then they wouldn't be certified for that period until they've actually had
That
it.
scenario I've read into, but I didn't necessarily see, I got it.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
It's tied in with the deadline for applying for the bar exam. Further questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
And then finally, we heard a presentation on trust accounting rules from Carmen Bannon, Brian Oten, and Ann Parkin. The Issues Committee intends to study these rules in future meetings. And so that concludes, Mr. President, the report of the Issues Committee.
Thank you. Pass the microphone back. All right, pass the mic. Chair calls on Kevin Williams for a report of access to justice.
Yes, ma'am. Access to Justice Committee met yesterday. We were joined by Judge Marty McGee from Cabarrus County. Judge McGee is currently finishing his LLM at Duke, and he's part of the Master of Judicial Studies degree at Duke. And part of his thesis is basically taking what he learned during and after COVID and what they did in Cabarrus County to create remote hearings and remote possibility for hearings and how to implement that on a statewide basis. And so it has all sorts of efficiencies and access to justice issues. I had heard Judge McGee give a similar presentation to the Inner Court at Wake Forest. It was a very thoughtful presentation, incredibly ambitious, and he's given a lot of thought to it. He's also working with the Administrative Office of the Courts on how to implement this on a statewide basis. And then we had a small presentation from Jimbo Perry, the Executive Director for Chief Justice Commission on Professionalism. No action items.
Thank you, Kevin. Next, the Authorized Practice Committee.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. All right, the Authorized Practice Committee met yesterday, and we reviewed 16 complaints regarding the unauthorized practice of law. The committee dismissed 8 matters, voted to issue 3 letters of caution, voted to take no action on 3 matters, and voted to continue 2 matters. We received a request for an advisory opinion and a request for publication of AP matter outcomes in the State Bar Journal. So for the request for the advisory opinion, it was regarding the scope of permissible permissible activities for non-attorney special education advocates in administrative proceedings before the Office of Administrative Hearings. The committee voted to deem this matter to be of significant public interest and to assemble a subcommittee for further study. The committee voted to recommend to the executive committee that names of respondents against whom the Office of Counsel has obtained injunction be published in the State Bar Journal, in addition to the names of the respondents who received letters of caution from the Authorized Practice Committee. And this would be an item that we need to vote on.
Specifically, this is for publication of injunctions and other matters as authorized by the AP Committee, as well as the outcomes of AP matters to be published. After study, we didn't know if the executive needed to approve it, but I would recommend that this committee approve it, but that would be part of the journal, much in the same way grievances are published. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, there's a motion on the floor. This comes from committee, does not need a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? And the ayes have it. Thank you, Judge Chiquita. Daryl?
Yes.
We're not finished.
I'm sorry.
We were working.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Please continue.
All right, in closed session, council updated the committee regarding the status of an injunction. Council filed against Piper Sydney Acute McDaniel. We had some prepaid legal services plans. State Bar received no proposed amendments to the existing prepaid legal services plans in the first quarter of 2025. The State Bar received no initial registration statements during the first quarter of 2025, and we have some additional action items. Committee recommends that the council issue orders revoking the registration of plans that have refused service or indicated they no longer operate a legal service plan in North Carolina. ECU Student Legal Services, Estate Defender Plan, and Debt Cleanse Legal Services.
That is a motion from a committee, requires no second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any of the chair's ayes have it.
We're done.
Sure.
You don't have to worry about the mic. I'll just stand up. Don't worry about it. I think I talked about it. The Communications Committee met actually yesterday at 11 o'clock, and in the committee meeting, we discussed, of course, the publications as well as the Communications Committee actually joining. Mr. Pazewski, I call him Cool for short, talked about, of course, updating our webpage and also doing some things to attract more members to our social media. One of the things that I think stood out the most was that we're sort of behind, not necessarily behind, but we're using some outdated information. In fact, I likened it to, we're still playing Atari while other organizations are doing, PlayStation 5. So we're going to work on that as far as work on getting additional members to join some of the social media, such as LinkedIn and some of the other social media things. But I think the biggest thing that we talked about, of course, was combining the publications as well as communications, making it one. That way, there's no overlap.
Thank you. And just for clarification on that, I think the plan is to combine them for the rest of this year and have the two serve as co-chairs.
Exactly.
And then it'll be restructured in whatever way this committee and Madam President-elect decides to handle. Okay? Thank you. No action items, correct?
No.
All right, moving along. Judge Dorothy.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Ethics Committee met this morning, and we did some work too for you. We had 5 inquiries that we considered today. We have 2 going to subcommittee, 2 new opinions that we published this quarter in the journal and on the website. So we're asking that you all encourage people to read comment. Proposed 2025 FBO2, negotiating licensure, reporting capability or mediation. Proposed 2025 FBO3, client consent to annual rate increase. We have 1 action item for the council on tomorrow, and that's adoption of proposed 2025 FBO1, obligations related to notice when lawyer leaves a firm.
That is a motion from committee.
It just goes
straight on.
That's almost as quick as our meeting.
I'm working. All right, thank you. We look forward to that motion being carried out tomorrow. Now recognize Judge Brother Cobb for report of DSA.
Good afternoon. I would move at this time to go into closed session pursuant to statute 145. Mr. President, at this time, on behalf of the Distinguished Service Award Committee, I move that the Executive Committee approve the nominations of candidates A, B, C, D, E, and F, discussed in closed session to be presented to the full council for presentation of the John D. McMillan Distinguished Service Award, subject to our standard due diligence checks. And that would be my report.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Carter, second. All opposed? It's then, yeah, any of the chair, the ayes have it.
I would like to thank members of my committee, our committee, and especially the work with Suzanne Weaver. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. If there is no further business, Chair will entertain a motion for Mr. Bachman.
To adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Bachman. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Bye.
Very efficient.
29 minutes.